Hey there, and welcome to the last of 30. The last team, San Diego FC. You know what we're doing, team previews, all 30 Major League Soccer teams. Tonight is the last one. Series concluded. Thank you for joining us on the Designated Pundits. You can tell by the brain fog from the introduction, we have been burning it all day long. This is our third and final of the day, 30th and final Major League Soccer 2025 team preview, and that is the expansion side, San Diego FC. Can't wait to talk about them. We have a lot to discuss in their inaugural season here. But first, make sure you click that subscribe button. If you are new to the Designated Pundits, make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Get notified when we go live. Join the conversation. It's going to help us make you content like this each and every season. And then heading into the Major League Soccer season, 2 episodes, 1 recap, 1 predictions, and sportsbook picks. One of the best places to do it right here on the Designated Pundits. But today, we are joined by Chiva and Tony as we preview San Diego FC. Let us know where we can find your work.
Absolutely. You can find everything we do at SanDiego.Futbol, F-U-T-B-O-L. That is the website where we have our podcast, Two Balls and a Mic, that goes live every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We've been doing it 264 weeks in a row. Good stuff. Oh. Yeah, same room. But no, we are doing that all on SanDiego.Futbol. We cover everything soccer in San Diego, including the NWSL. I do color commentary for the San Diego Soccer's MASL indoor team. It's all about soccer in San Diego, and this is the newest fold coming up with San Diego FC.
So discuss us a little bit about the history of San Diego Soccer. Now, of course, this is the newest iteration of a Major League Soccer team in San Diego, but as many MLS new franchises do, you don't take the club that's already there and expand them. You got to build from scratch. Let us know a little bit about the history of not only your podcast, but of San Diego FC.
It's funny you mentioned kind of like both of those kind of crossing streams in a way, because we started this 5 years ago alongside the creation of San Diego Loyal, which was the USL championship side here, commanded by Landon Donovan. And so that was kind of the first real look into the professional game outside of something from the NISA League with 1904, that, you know what, professional soccer is going to work here in San Diego, especially after the departure of the NFL and having the Padres be absolutely miserable in the MLB for years and decades. Now there's a chance that soccer is going to be something that's going to be beneficial on the professional level, something that's always been here in the city. It's always been a hot pool of talent for soccer because of the proximity with Mexico and Tijuana, with everything that's going on. Just soccer has always been a grassroots and very full of talent just in the area as well. So now with San Diego Loyal no longer being with us, comes in the MLS, and MLS really coming in with the chance to say, hey, we have this cool little thing in San Diego Loyal. Let's buy it out and take all their fan base together, and let's unite everybody together. That didn't happen in typical MLS fashion. Now, you know, they chose the, I guess, the road less traveled is a nice way to say, but at some point MLS keeps traveling the same road, but that's a different discussion. But now, look, it's here. We're a couple of days away from the first kickoff of MLS in San Diego, and it's been a catch-22 of emotions for a lot of fan base here in San Diego. But at the end of the day, a lot of excitement nonetheless, because the Major League Soccer is here in San Diego.
Love to see that. I mean, we just needed another California team. I think with these West Coast teams, it gives you like a unique geographical advantage, but it also gives us another team to check in on. I'm over here in New York City, and I can go to the Red Bulls games, sit in the press box, attend the after, game interviews, and still be back on my couch by 10:35, 11 o'clock, which is right around when the games are going to be kicking off, which is something fantastic. Even, wife and her dog are in bed at that point. It's TV's all mine, sitting out here like a king watching these West Coast matches. So definitely interested in catching a lot of San Diego. And I like where you guys are off to. You started off by signing a Mexican legend Irving Lozano, Chucky, if you will. And I think that that's going to be, a nice step. It certainly brings you a little bit of identity and a player that I think a lot of the fan base can connect with. Right where Red Bull are in Harrison, it's a huge, huge Portuguese section. And knowing that, some of the best Portuguese players ever were available and actually came to Major League Soccer and went to different clubs was a little disappointing. Just talk a little bit about what kind of identity you're going to build, ownership group, anything we need to know heading into this season.
Yeah, obviously with San Diego FC coming in, they get their first big DP signing, and it's like you said, Chucky Lozano, right? And it was so crazy being here in San Diego when that signing was announced, because they threw a party to just announce him to the fan base, over like 10,000 fans in a concert type setting, and they made a big event with that. And with the identity, head coach Mikey Vadas, right? He's first time coaching an actual pro team, and he kind of has to start from scratch. And that's what he told us after the preseason games at Coachella, the Coachella Invitational. They are trying to build that identity, and they want to commit to a play style that they have. But to tell you what the identity is, Tony, I don't know if you can help me out here, but I don't know if they have one yet.
They're going to piggyback off of the Right to Dream Academy. That's definitely something that is being spoken about from the inception. The Right to Dream Academy, essentially a bottom-up mentality for soccer in the U.S., where they have these academies across the world with Right to Dream, and their mentality is, hey, we have the specific play style we want to have. We're going to adapt it here in MLS. We're not going to necessarily have all this accoutrement of talent, say, per Miami, but we're going to have academy kids. There's going to be academy players. They're going to be brought in, fostered. They are the only team in MLS who can actively scout in Mexico because of the proximity to the border. So that's an added layer where they can have talent from the U.S. and Tijuana and the greater northern region of Mexico. So it's a very interesting and ambitious project that they have. And for play style, we've seen it live at the Coachella Valley Invitational. You live by the counter and you're going to die by the counter. And poof, they died a painful death. But they resurrected in a lot of ways against New York Red Bulls.
That's a game that I watched, and I was so excited because I like being right on some guys, and we'll talk about them in just a little bit. But the notable signings are just about at every position. This is certainly not a polished squad we can expect to hit the ground running on day one, but it is this team where every position is either a name guy or, someone really close, a name that we haven't heard of that we need to, first of all, learn the pronunciation of. That's really what was killing me. But outside of Irving Lozano, you have Anders Dreyer on the right wing, who I'm in love with already. I think he is going to be a fantastic player in Major League Soccer. Recently, you signed a new number 10, Omni Valakari. Is that somewhere close to the pronunciation there?
Yeah, Oni Valakari, hailing from Finland. Found him in Cyprus, the country of Cyprus. Not the hill, but the country.
And then, up top, you got Marcus Ingvartsen. You just got a whole bunch of names here. I'm really excited for the notable signings here. So much so that we got to look at the depth chart. So here's what I have, and I don't have any special information, but it looks like you guys are playing a 4-3-3 attacking formation. And let's start from the back. CJ Dos Santos.
Yeah, CJ Dos Santos, a goalkeeper that they got off Inter Miami that hasn't really gotten the chance to prove himself in the MLS. So obviously he's still very young in age. A goalkeeper's prime ends up being at 30 minimum, and he's still way under that. So it'll be interesting. He's good with his feet. He likes to kind of play out the back as well. But again, when you have a young goalkeeper, you kind of lack that experience.
Let's move up now to the defense. You guys got 5 defenders that I have on the depth chart here. Andre Reyes and Patty McNair are my projected starters at the center back position. And I can't say enough bad things about Andre Reyes, his time with Red Bull. It's not just missing the cup. It is, he's a walking red card. He will play light out soccer for 4 games and then do something so incredibly stupid you can't imagine a professional player put on a jersey and went out there and did that. So a lot of love, but the upside is absolutely tremendous with this guy. Let's talk about the center backs and the depth behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. And so right here's where you really start that multifaceted backline or just player that can play multiple positions and look at different ways in transition. Andre Reyes is that player who is definitely going to be your center back of center backs, and you can pair him up with Paddy McNair. And Paddy McNair is going to be the center back that's really good with his feet, not necessarily focused on defending. That's going to be left up to Reyes and his juggernaut style of, hey, you know what? Screw it. It'll be a red card, or they'll go ahead and get a fantastic defensive play out of him. But this is really just kind of the structure that they want to go ahead and start playing out the back. CJ Dos Santos, as you mentioned, really good with his feet. And that's where the play is going to start. And that's going to invite the pressure from the opponents and really start to open up those spaces to give the sixes on the midfield a chance to go ahead and start opening up that play. But you will see Paddy McNair, Andres Reyes moving up further than most center backs will with possession of the ball. And so that's really the idea. And then you can have those wing backs with Kumado and Negri, who can also contribute to the attack as well as be able to come back and defend. But you also need that speed in order to say, you know what, let's go ahead and cut out this counterattack in the midfield. It's not going to cost me because they dispose of Negri, they dispose of Kumado. You can have Reyes back there, Paddy McNair. And then behind, McVay, obviously, he's been showcased a lot here in the early preseason as well. Mikey Vada seems to have an affinity to him. And then you going over to Sverskov, right? Another eternally multifaceted player who can play further up in the midfield, but he can also be very important in that center back position. That's going to be your captain, actually, it's looking like for San Diego FC, because he is the DNA that they want to go ahead and build the backbone of Right to Dream for this San Diego FC side.
And sorry, Shiva, every time someone makes a comment, I'm going to be pulling their face up over yours. Apologize. That's just the format of the program we're running. Someone in the comments thinks San Diego will make the playoffs. I have no doubt. I do have a doubt, but I think that this squad, top to bottom, looks really, really good. Before we move on to the fullbacks, which I do want to get into, Andre Reyes, any word on him at all? Because I'm a Red Bull fan, and it has been radio silence since he missed the MLS Cup. He dressed to play, warmed up with the team, got a mystery illness, did not start, goes to a young kid, our 19-year-old center back. He makes two bad mistakes in the first 20 minutes, and Galaxy goes off to a 2-0 win. We never hear from Andre Reyes again, and he is off the team, traded to San Diego. Any? Can you fill us in there on anything you found out?
I'll tell you, he is alive. I talked to him the other day. So guaranteed, at least there's that. He is breathing and kicking and training.
So he's right now with San Diego FC. He wasn't a part of the Coachella Invitational because he was dealing with sort of a knee issue. Coach Mikey Vadas was very clear that it wasn't technically an injury. It's just more of a knee kind of like soreness. So he said he would be available for the Galaxy match. I don't see him starting since he didn't really get minutes in preseason. So I can see Paddy McNair and McVay coming out as the starting center backs.
Let's move up to the fullback positions here. You got Franco Negri and Willie Kumado on the outside. Got some names that we've known: Jasper Lovelsen, Hamidi Diop, also there. Discuss a little bit about not only the depth chart, but what the fullbacks are going to be responsible for on this team.
So, I mean, Willie Kumado really hasn't been integrated into the team, but that's definitely going to be the starting right back. And that's, again, the speedy offense that they're going to be looking for on that right side to pair with Andrew Dreyer to really overload a side with offense. You have Franco Negri, who's that strong presence on the left back position, but with his speed, sometimes it doesn't seem to be the best in terms of being able to come back and defend on the counter. So then he finds himself having to do a very strong challenge around the midfield and or really be able to start tracking back and hoping that his center back pairing is going to go ahead and cut off the attack. But for what we've seen, I mean, these two are very good players and very integral to what Mikey Vadas wants to see in the build of play. And I think this is one thing that you'll start to see with San Diego FC is that they're going to be absolutely stubborn with their way of play. It doesn't matter if they're going to lose 3-1 in preseason against New York City FC, or if they're going to win 6-0 against New York Red Bulls. It's the exact same thing that you're going to go ahead and see. And that doesn't leave a lot of room for dynamic style of play on in-game adjustments. That's what you're going to get. And so that can be very beneficial for San Diego FC, especially on defense, which right now, to be completely honest, is what's raising the most red flags on the squad.
Interesting. let's move up a little bit to the midfield because this is a group that really interests me. Look, some names here that I love. Luca De La Torre especially just leads that group for me. I have loved him for years. I cannot wait to watch him every week. But then playing maybe across from him, Yepe, I'm going to butcher this, Tverskov.
Svetoslov.
Yeah.
Tverskov. And then Oni Volokari at the 10. Tell me a little bit about this group, maybe the depth, and what we should expect to see out of how they play.
Yeah, I think overall their midfield is pretty stacked, to be honest. It's looking like the starting midfield will be more Sverslok and Aníbal Godoy starting as well. That's kind of what we've been seeing in the preseason. And then Luca de la Torre kind of filling in that 8/10 role. Like he's a little more attacking as well. That's kind of, and then Valakari being able to come off the bench. It doesn't get any better than him, right? 6'2", he's got the height. He's an attacking player. He has a great left foot. So I think coming off the bench, he's going to be dangerous. And then you have Manu Dua, who's just a star player, MLS Super Draft #1 pick. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets a couple minutes as well.
So then is this kind of trio as like a straight just 6, 8, 10, or is it 2 6s and a more creative 10?
It'll be more of a 6.
I think
2-6.
It'll be 2 6s, like 2 defensive midfielders, and then Luca de la Torre is going to have that freedom to go in attacking, and if he needs to stay up there, he can stay. He's going to get that freedom to go anywhere on the field, and we saw it against New York Red Bulls. He knows where to be, where the ball's going to go, and he knows where to put it. So it's going to be interesting having him in the team.
And then, sorry, I didn't get a chance to watch San Diego's preseason games. It's on my to-do list, but tell me a little bit about like what happens with the ball when the midfielders get it. Is it like direct go forward, or is it more creative build up? You mentioned a little bit of play by the counter, but I can see there's some principles of build up play happening. What happens when Luca gets the ball?
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going to be trying to figure out themselves, because you can see the DNA of each individual player wanting to go ahead and do the individual play or go by the book. And a lot of the players are starting to learn and read the book. And even with Coach Mikey Vadas himself, he's trying to go ahead and implement this on a senior level. So there's a lot of learning happening, and you see it on the field where they sometimes tend to reset over to Aníbal Godoy and say, hey, you're the one that can see here what breaks down the defenses a little bit more, where when you see Sverskov have the ball, you really start to see that DNA in the spine, like I said, really start to develop, where you go ahead and find the ball and start passing it, go ahead and be back. Total football. I think that's the best way that I can describe it. Like it's like a total football 2.0, where everybody's involved, everybody's in motion. The off the ball movement is part, and if not more important than whoever actually has the ball. And so being able to have that dynamic set play and play styles by different players allows players to go ahead and move through the middle and outside and give that freedom, like Chiba was talking over here with Luca de la Torre. You're going to find him in the 6. Luca de la Torre, you're going to find him as a false 9 sometimes. You're going to find him in those spaces, and it's just a matter of the talent really filling in the gaps of the right to dream mentality of this is how we're going to go ahead and be this fast-paced attacking, counter-attacking style that's going to try to be lethal whenever you give them windows, but they can also control the ball and control the pace. But as we know, those play styles do tend to lead to a lot of chances, and it can lead to a lot of defensive mistakes, to be honest.
I like it. In this version of Major League Soccer, there are some great defensive teams, but it's offense that's going to go into a championship right now. In every few years, we flip-flop back and forth. Let's talk about the wingers, because this is the strength of this team. Lozano out left, Dreyer out right. Behind him, you do have some MLS depth. Yeboah, Emmanuel Boateng. On the right side, Marcus Ingvartsen. I kind of have him as the second guy there. Can you maybe plug someone else in for us as a right wing depth?
I throw in Emmanuel Boateng. Yeah, definitely on there. And then I know Yeboah was actually picked up by LAFC because of the right to refusal in the re-entry draft, which again, coming into MLS, I'm learning TAM language. Like it's I gave up on a couple of languages, and now I'm learning MLS, and it's just the same thing over and over again. But no, it's I throw in Emmanuel Boateng over there on the right hand side.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's kind of going to be that depth with Chucky Lozano and Dreyer starting wingers. They're going to be the superstars of this team. And Alex Maiten, again, he's a firecracker. When you throw him in at halftime, he's going to catch those defenders a little tired as well. And he's got a lot of speed. And with Boateng, he has that MLS experience. So he knows how to come in and just know where the game is at and kind of finish it off for them.
And I think Lozano's pretty good. I heard he's pretty good. Like I've seen
it.
About a goal against Germany, and that was about it, right?
Yeah, something like that. And and to be completely honest, like Dreyer and Lozano, they're like in person, seeing them actually be able to create something out of nothing, or just how their mind works. It's a different gear from what we saw other players at the Coachella Valley Invitational in the preseason, and that's the definite X factor of San Diego FC, where you might live and die by this play style, but at the end of the day, it just takes one or two just absolute creative moments by either Lozano or Dreyer to go ahead and just take over and say, you know what, I got this. It's not working. We're down. It's 0-0. It's the 90th minute. We need something. So let me just go ahead and do what I do. And boom, let's go ahead and have the talent supersede any of the challenges that the play style has. Post-match, hey, coach, what happened? Well, the talent is great, and I love the performance by the team. Great. Thank you, Coach Mikey Varas. And that'll be what the press happen. That's going to be the press match, post-match conferences for us.
Dreyer was very impressed watching him play for the first time. With Lozano, the thing that had me was just perfection. You don't see that on the soccer field very often, and it's, not that it's impossible to recover when you make a bad touch, or, when the ball doesn't go exactly where you want it to go. But Lozano just has this ability. There are no mistakes, and just watching, perfection. Now, whether or not that translates, I mean, it's hard to be perfect when you got guys pulling you down by your ear, which he's going to have in Major League Soccer too. But that's, just what I was impressed with. Like every feint, every leaning, every time you scuff a blade of grass, it's with intention, and you don't see that a lot of places in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, he's incredibly economic with his movement and intelligent. And again, like, yeah, he's going to be getting pulled down and whatnot, but man, he was getting pulled down in Serie A, and those defenders. Let me tell you, that's a different gear from anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing I like, being introduced now to this team, is you seem to have, at the very worst, competent players all over the field. And at the best, you have players that can really change a game and win games. MLS is a league that you don't have to be great on defense all the time. The LA Galaxy just won, a championship being not very great on defense. And you have game winners, match winners in that offensive unit. And this seems like such a well thought out sort of roster construction in that way. I don't know if that's how you guys are feeling as fans. You're like, yeah, this feels like this front office is really building, in a really smart way.
The way I keep telling everyone is that San Diego FC this season is either going to be a very good team and a contender where they try to finish top 3 in the conference, or it's going to be the laughing stock in the league. I think it's either one. It's going to be wow, or yeah, we saw this coming, last place or something like that, where they're just going to be pathetic. So I don't think there's going to be an in between. I think it's either going to be really good or really bad.
And I think a lot of that falls on your coach, having a first-time head coach, because if you give this to, there are probably 5 Major League Soccer coaches. If you give this club to Bruce Arena, he's winning games. If you give this, there are all these guys who I think could do it, and system coaching matters so much in this league that if there's any issues, I think that might be where that lives and falls. Let's just finish up the depth chart. As strikers, you have Marcus Ingvartsen, a player I know absolutely nothing about. Behind him, Thomas Angel, who is a player I know nothing about, but I know about his father, who was a Red Bull legend.
Yeah, and again, like, this is kind of the plucking a diamond in the rough from their academy. Marcus Ingvartsen, pair it up with Jeppe Sverskov over on FC Norseland. When fans of the Danish league, shout out to you. But that's the DNA that they're going to go ahead and want to play with. Marcus Varson is a traditional 9 with trying to go ahead and be a distributor and hold up play whenever he gets the ball and wait for the wingers to go ahead and pass him, and he can play in that false 9 type of way. And then Tomas Angel, again, a young up and comer, where he's that change of pace. He's that ability to go ahead and also be a playmaker and creator and a disruptor. But he's going to add the speed aspect and now element, a little bit more flair than in Varsen, where it's a little bit more robotic and the prototypical 9 that you're most likely to see. But I mean, this one too is going to be very interesting, and I do think that it's going to depend a lot on what happens in that midfield to get these forwards the ball, and just hope and pray that they figure it out in the last third.
We have some questions for you that we want to cover. These are 2025 storylines, things we're going to follow all season long, but they're posed here as questions. First one, why for a Cali team is the design of the logo and jerseys so bad? Like you could find artists every 15 feet, throw a stick, you could take out 6 of them that could come up with something better. What happened?
All right. Do we want to get a call from the club again? All right.
That is up to you.
Yeah. All right. All right. Look, the imagery, the crest, the colors, the everything is an absolute just marketing 101 from somebody who visited San Diego for one day and was told, hey, you got to create a image that's going to last and is impacting. What is this city? Oh, I don't know. Reflective. Let's reflect on the city. Well, what's a color that reflects? Chrome? Not really a color, but it's chrome. And okay, blue, because sky and San Diego and weather and ocean. Well, it's blue, but we're next to Tijuana. Azul. The official colors are chrome and azul. Great. That's why you have a navy blue kit and a white away kit. So, I mean, make that figure that one out at that point. But the crest, I mean, again, the story, the summary, the paragraph of literature that came attached in our media packet for the explanation of, well, these lines are for the 18 cities of San Diego County, and every single one of these is made to link and is woven into one, and like great, fantastic. That could have worked in Podunk, Ohio. Like it would have worked anywhere, absolutely. That you have somebody that has enough time on Chat GPT and say, hey, what is the imagery like of a soccer team? Well, here you go. It's a couple lines, and at the end of the day, you can put San Diego FC. And look, hopefully this is kind of for now. I know the fan base is mixed on that. The fan base here in San Diego is kind of over just that mentality of just like, it is what it is. They're crapping on it. Everybody's talking about like, hey, it's not necessarily the best, but it's what we got. And from here on out, then this is what you kind of have representing you, right? Like now it's a matter of the community to make it mean something. But at the end of the day, shouldn't the team reflect what the community's already had here, the soccer that's already been here? And then again, that's the kind of duality of this, where it's absolute corporate FC stuff and material, but you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
I mean, it's nice to have a team. The logo feels really uninspired to me in a lot of ways, and that reflects to the jerseys. I think feel really uninspired. I looked at those and I was like, that is just some jersey.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you ask me, what's going to matter for me is how they play on the field. But yeah, I agree that jerseys are very just concept kit for Adidas, and other teams have the same jersey, just different colorway. So it's honestly whatever's.
Yeah, no fabric should cost that much, though. There's not a fabric in the world that should cost that much.
By the way, Tony has the away jersey.
Yeah, no, it's the Old Navy Classic.
Nice. Yeah. Well, shout that from the rooftops, because you're absolutely right about the price. Look, Bob, I'm going to reorder your questions here real quick.
Go for it.
Let's talk about the financials of this team real quick. Look, I already have just kind of praised the construction of this. I do think this is a smart roster construction, especially for an expansion team. how are the team's financials? Do they have room that they can still go do moves? Are they going to be hamstrung going into like a summer window if they need to make changes?
Yeah, I believe in the terms of GAM and TAM, they have the most GAM available. So they have money to play around with. And I mean, again, this is a team with a lot of resources as well. Let's not forget that. I mean, $500 million to come into the Major League Soccer. Like
Mr.
it's a
Mansour.
lot of money, Mr. Mansour. But yeah, they definitely have still the financials to be able to get someone else. Talking to sporting director Tyler Heaps, he said they negotiate with anyone as long as the price is right. And if the price is not right for them, they're not going to sign the player. Like we kind of saw that with players like Kevin De Bruyne. Like those rumors were true. They were pursuing him and he just wanted a lot. He wanted Messi money. And that's not something that the team didn't want to go for. So all those rumors have some truth to it as well with the Sergio Ramos at one point.
Yeah, he ended up
So-
in Monterrey.
yeah.
BMX. All right.
which his contract is insane, by the way, but
Yeah.
that's a different story too. But yeah, no, they definitely have the money.
Can you imagine Ramos next to Reyes? Like, I can't think of a less centered group.
It'd be out of control, man.
Rumors of Serge Aurier also in San Diego FC.
I didn't
like,
even know he still
geez.
played.
Fiery.
Yeah. Galatasaray. Free agent, but yeah. Anyway.
Real quick, DPs, Chucky obviously, and then Dreyer.
Correct.
Your two DPs. Is it going to be a 2 and 4 model with the extra $2 million?
They're looking to get at least one more DP here before April, and I think that's what's going to go ahead and just close it for year one at least, and then they'll reassess from there on. But they're also not tied to having another DP if they don't have to, and just again find somebody, some talent through this Right to Dream Academy, whether that's in FC Northland, whether that's in the academy in Ghana, whether that's an up and comer here locally. That's honestly what the best hope is. That's the ambition for San Diego FC, is to really revolutionize the way that soccer is played in the U.S. Right? Like you're telling me you don't have to go ahead and spend so much and compete with the Saudis with talent that to win the MLS Cup. Well, okay, cool. It's going to save us money and resources, and we can go ahead and maybe fund an actual soccer-specific stadium and not just have to rent a university.
And I do want to elaborate on what Scott asked because, I know there's a lot of words there that even listeners may not know. You have the option. You could have 3 designated players and I think 3 youth designated players, and then you're fine. You could also have 2 designated players and 4 youth designated players, which are under whatever it is, 23, 24 years old.
Or 24, yeah.
And then you get $2 million extra to spend everywhere else on your roster. So it's like there's like a little give and take with the roster construction. I would assume what we're finding out about them scouting in South America, that eventually maybe, you go 3 DPs for a couple of years and, get some fans in the seats. But I'd like to see a 2-4 model if you're going to have all these young guys that you can pay up and, not take against the cap hit. I think that might be prudent for them to do sometime in the future.
Yeah, if this team can win games, that's what I would see, is make room to bring in more young talent.
And they have that with Anissa Saidi, right? Who is a 16-year-old talent that they got from the Philadelphia Union Academy. So he's also in that rotation in the starting striker position. So I can see him definitely getting minutes in MLS. So be careful with that youngster.
Yeah, certainly.
We love a teenage goal scorer. All right, so let's put on some prediction hats then and kind of transition to looking forward to the season. Expectations and look, like what's realistic for this team, right? What do you really think they're going to do? What's their best possible outcome? What has to go right for that? What's the worst possible outcome? What has to go wrong for that? If stuff falls apart, where does it fall apart?
I think watching that last match against Red Bull kind of changes a lot of different perspectives, right? So if this works and they do play, I can see them squeaking into playoffs. If they play the way they played Red Bull, and that's kind of like how they're going to be performing, I can see them squeaking by and making playoffs. I think worst possible outcome is that nothing works. They get some injuries and they're kind of screwed for the season, and they just bottom 2, bottom 3 type of team. But I don't know, Tony, if there's a Best scenario.
Best scenario is honestly just make playoffs. Best scenario is make playoffs and say, hey, we made it in this first year. And we really competed and had a chance. We saw what success is. Making playoffs doesn't mean that you're the worst. Doesn't mean you're the best. You just had to, figure it out at some point and peak at the right moment in the season. But I think the worst possible outcome for San Diego FC is just apathy. Whether that's apathy from the fan base because of the play style that they're just not vibing with, not liking, and just abandon them. And that's a problem with sports in San Diego in general. That's something that is something that's, there's just so many other things to do here in San Diego and Southern California that if it's not going to put butts in seats, like you said, then people are going to choose to do something else. And it's incumbent of the team to then have something that's attractive. Hey, you know what? They're dead last, but at least we had fun, didn't we, guys? See you next season. And I think that's a net positive. Where if it's, we were promised this, we were given this, it is what it is, and I don't know if I'm going to go ahead and pay, what is it, $50 for parking?
Yeah,
It's absolutely disgusting. But it's one of these things where, the team itself can project to have this, luscious just mindset. We're going to go ahead and do this and this and this. This is the ambition that we're going to have. We're going to shoot for the stars. We're going to land and crash land. But it was fun, and I think that was really what this fan base is going to really want to see is a team that's going to fight for the city, a team that's going to represent the city, and a team that's going to respect the people who are paying these prices to go ahead and watch them. Where they, if you're really going to go watch stadium, you're there and you love a stadium, go watch the San Diego Wave for literally half of the ticket. It's the same thing. But it's, MLS, a different league. But if you're a stadium enthusiast, hey, go for it.
That's a fantastic crest that the Wave has, by the way. Colors and everything. I dig it all. Last question here. What is the storyline that follow that impacts San Diego's season the most? And I'm going to start off. For me, it's the coach. You have a winning team. This is a winning roster. I have no doubt on that. But is Mikey Veras the guy? We're going to find out. And if halfway through the season this isn't working with all this money and a very good roster, you're going to see, luckily for you, there's like 3, I'm counting them right now, MLS head coaches that are top tier that are not employed right now. You're going to get a Jim Curtin or an Adrian Heath or a Vanni Sartini. That was the one like ringing in my head.
I'd like Vanni.
You got these guys who can come in and do it. So that's my storyline that's going to impact San Diego seasons the most, is because you can have great teams in Major League Soccer. If your coach is not right, the team will not play.
Yeah, I think one storyline that I'm kind of thinking it's going to be a big one is just Chucky Lozano's impact in MLS. Whether he comes in right off the bat just dominating and gets on the score sheet and gets assists and has Carlos Vela's numbers, right? So it'll be interesting to see if he kind of follows in those footsteps and just does something special here in San Diego.
Tony, honestly, I'm going to riff off of what you said earlier. The storyline that I'm going to be watching around this team hard, alongside all of that, is going to be its attendance. I want to see if this team really does click with the local community, click with the fan base. I'm sure winning will help, but long season, ups and downs. What happens if you have a bad period? Do people still come? That's going to be something for me to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
All right, gentlemen, one more time before we go, let us know where we can find your work this season.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and find everything that we do here on SanDiego.Futbol on the website, SanDiego.Futbol. That is our outlet here on YouTube. We have various shows, Two Balls and a Mic. We also have Cesar Hernandez, ESPN writer, who have a podcast that watches soccer movies and breaks them down. So pretty interesting. But at the end of the day, just follow everything that we do at SanDiego.Futbol on all socials.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time out to be here with us tonight. And everyone at home, thank you for picking the Designated Pundits 30 of 30. We are done. Me and Scott get to actually podcast now this week instead of just doing season previews. So I guess the season can start. We hope you check those out. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Designated Pundits.